Our focus today is on generous community. And during this 4-week generosity emphasis that we're in, we're talking today about the generosity of Christian community. And what we'd like to have a little conversation about today is how people are finding generous community here with us at Wilshire. Not everyone gets to see all the new members we've had joining over the past few years. And so I'd like to introduce some of them to you this morning, and we're going to talk about how they got here and how they have found community here. Patricia Anderson is right here, Marty Miller, and then whoa, that's me. I think I got Afton Chrissy is on the far side. Am I okay, Scott? Go to the handhelds. Oh, hello. How about this one? All right, so things are just going crazy this morning, Jacob. And look, I got a stool that spins. Wheels off. George will be back tonight. So I'd like to engage each of you in just telling us a couple of simple things. First of all, we can just go down the line, Patricia. How did you find Wilshire? How did you get here? And once you got here, what kind of community have you found here?
All right, so our journey for how we actually got to Wilshire started 2 years ago when we got our first son placed with us for adoption. Oh my gosh. Okay, every time I get in front of you, I'm gonna cry. My parents' church really surrounded us with a lot of love there. And so my husband and I looked at each other and were like, we have to find a church of our own to call home. And we did what everyone probably our age does. We asked Google, and Google led us here. We liked that it had a good children's ministry and preschool ministry, and we also liked that it was an inclusive community.
Well, and how have you found community now that you've been here?
So we have found such a community here. Since being here, we've actually adopted our second son, and that has been a blessing that we didn't even know we missed out on first time around, having such a group of people around us. I'm a stay-at-home mom now, and all I do is sit at home with a toddler and a baby. So Wednesday nights, I get to talk to people, eat a meal I didn't cook, and meet new people and see friends. I also really like hanging out with these 4-year-olds that I help out with on Wednesdays, and I leave so recharged getting to talk to some slightly older kids and see hope for the future. That's pretty much how we found it.
That's wonderful. Thank you. That's a wonderful story. Marty, how did you come to Wilshire, and how do you find community here?
Well, for many years, my husband and I were members of another church, and we were very active. And when he passed away in 2014, I found it very difficult, more and more so, to attend that church by myself. So I felt like I was led to find another church home. So I knew I wanted a church that had a traditional service and had a strong music program, had a choir and an organ for music. I just love that. So I also had read George's column in The Advocate many times, and I liked what I read. And so being in a techno age, I Googled the website of Wilshire, and I liked what I saw. So the first time I visited Wilshire, I was sitting in the back, and when I left, I went out through the narthex and was introduced to George. And then the following Sunday, I was here, and I left and went out through the narthex, and I shook his hand, and he called me by my name, no prompting. And needless to say, I was hooked. So shortly thereafter, I joined the church and have just never looked back.
And tell us how you're finding community here now.
Well, I attended the new members class, and that sealed the deal. That was wonderful. After that, I found so many opportunities to meet the members of the congregation, and then I decided, life was wonderful. I was retired. I needed to find a place to use my talents and skills, and I found Friday Friends. And I just found that to be a wonderful ministry. But there's so many places up here that you can meet people and serve, and give back and be served as well. I mean, it's just an all-encompassing community. And to me, this church breathes community inside and out.
Thank you. That's so good to hear. While we're there, go ahead and tell us a word about Friday Friends, what that is, because not everyone may know that.
Okay. Friday Friends is a ministry for Alzheimer's patients' caregivers. And what we do is we allow those loved ones to come to our room from the second and fourth Friday of the month from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock, and we feed them lunch, and we have programs with music and arts and crafts and discussion, and it gives their caregivers a break for 4 hours to go do something else. And our church provides a wonderful hot lunch for them, and it's just a wonderful ministry. Those are the sweetest people in the world.
We have a lot of volunteers working. Marty is one of the co-leaders of this wonderful new ministry we have here at Wilshire, and I got to meet Max, the therapy dog, on Friday.
The little teeny one.
Yeah.
The little teeny one.
Cutest thing ever. Yeah. Afton, tell us how you got here and how have you found community here?
Honestly, we started visiting because we had a 4-month-old and we heard Wilshire had a good preschool. So probably not the best motivation for coming right off the bat, which is why we visited very off and on for a year. Over the course of that year, our son Henry started getting older, and we started having more conversations about the type of person we wanted to raise him up to be. We want him to be kind. We want him to love his neighbor. We want him to think for himself. And so we knew it was really important that we come to church, we come for the right reasons, and that we're in the right environment to foster that. And so after not coming for several months, just for laziness, really, we came back with a fresh set of eyes, and that morning George talked about DACA and how we should treat immigrants, and so everything just kind of fell into place, and we knew that this was the place for us. The community aspect is still a little bit of a work in progress for us. We thought it would just come with time, but after talking to people in our Sunday school class, we figured out there are people that have been here a lot longer than us who are still trying to find that real deep sense of community that we want. We're parents of preschoolers, and we're in a very busy season of life, so it's tough to try and make those meaningful connections outside of church hours with each other. So we've had a lot of conversations about it recently, and we're really trying to build our little community.
Well, and you and your husband, Alden, are now the co-directors of the Labyrinth Sunday School class, a very important young adult community here in the church that you're breathing energy into as well. We're so grateful for each of you and the unique stories you have that illustrate for us today the ways people are finding community here in this place, and we're just delighted to call you part of our family. Thanks for your stories today.